Hey guys, we're live on the moon. Early Saturday morning, February the 11th, 2012. And I've been waiting very patiently to do the moon. We've been having all kinds of weather down here in Texas. I live in a little town west of Houston called Richmond, Texas, and we've had so much rain. I've got standing water in my backyard. My friend Mike, he's a farmer, and he wants to see as much rain as we can possibly get. And old Bill, he doesn't want to see any at all. I intend to let the moon settle in. It's still rising. It's been in the sky for about 2 hours, and I've been patiently awaiting for it to get. If I go in close, you can see it's not quite as crisp as I would like, but we're gonna let it go a little bit higher, and then we're gonna show you. We're gonna revisit that Apollo 15 landing site tonight, because I have a better look at it, more a top-down look, and I can show you the kind of valley in a crater. I can show you a crater 6 miles wide, and how it all fits together. So this is kind of a preliminary preview, just to let you know the moon is still there, and it's as colorful as it's ever been. And I'm dumbfounded at the color on this thing. It just blows me away every time I do look at it. I hope you enjoy my videos. I appreciate you give me thumbs up on them. That gives me encouragement. And I appreciate the comments as well. You can see all the color, though. I wanted to give you a kind of an overview that the moon is real pretty tonight. I'm going to pick this up in about an hour. I'm going to let the moon go a little bit higher. And then we're going to put a Barlow in this thing and see what we can see along the shadow line. And earlier on, man, Tycho, you can see Tycho, that big crater on the right side. That thing was just so blazing. It was hard to, I mean, it was hard to see anything else. It was so bright. But now it's getting higher in the sky, and it's settling in. Bear with me on the back side here. In about an hour, I'll pick this up. I'm going to put it on pause, and we'll give you a tour of the moon. High adventure early Saturday morning. Another all-nighter for Bill. Hang with me, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. It's not going to be as good as it was the last time I did it. The atmospherics are kind of buckling. I think it's because of all the weather we've had. I'm going to try to give you a geography lesson and better pinpoint the Apollo 15 landing site. Right now, centered, that real small crater centered right there. You can see it centered. That's Conon, C-O-N-O-N. That crater is 13 miles wide. That'll give you an idea. Okay. If you go to the left, midpoint, that larger crater with a little mountain pile of rocks in the middle of it, that's Aristillus. That's that one we were looking at that looked like a star. And right to the 7 or to the 5 o'clock position from Aristillus is Archimedes. Well, I'm going to give you a better idea. There's a crater. I'm going to center it. It's a real small crater. It's above Conon, C-O-N-O-N, and it should be centered, pretty much centered right now. I'm going to zoom in on that crater. That crater is called Aratus, A-R-A-T-U-S. If I can center it and zoom in, I'm trying to get give you a better feel for where Let me just try to go up. Okay. Now it's not going to be as clear, but you'll at least get an idea if I can push the button in the right direction. Now this crater Aratus is 6.5 miles wide, or 6.2 miles wide, and it's centered right now. That's Aratus, 6.2 miles wide. That'll give you a feel for what we're looking at and how close we are. Those little dots are a mile wide. Now to the immediate left of Aratus, which is centered, you'll see a gap in the mountains, kind of like that's the Alps. That's that slope I was talking about that last video. In that gap, that's where the Apollo 15 landed. And because I'm telling you how wide these craters are, you can get a better feel for how hard it is to get. I mean, we're on a land-based telescope looking at something that is 6.5 miles wide, 6.2 miles wide, and you can tell by looking at some of these little dots, even smaller than that, they're probably a mile wide. So we're actually seeing things on the surface of the moon that's probably, the little tiny dots are probably less than a mile wide. Now this is a pretty good telescope, but you are limited by atmospherics. And if you recall, the last, I think, video I did was so clear because the atmospherics were really good. Well, they're not real good tonight because of the thunderstorms we've been having in the area. Okay, I'm going to put it on pause again, and we're going to go up there and look at that MAR. Let me just show you where we're going. I'm going to get it all situated and turn it back on. I can do that because I pause it. These two MARs right here, and I turn the exposure up a little bit. And you can see a line of demarcation. We're going to go in there and look at it a little bit closer. And see on the right side, that little thing on the bottom right side, that's called tunneling. When I have the zoom, so I go in one more click and it gets rid of that. This, by the way, this zoom that I have in focus, this is a optical zoom. It is not a it's a mechanical zoom. It's not a software zoom. So when I zoom in, I'm actually zooming in, but we are restricted by the atmospherics. Now I'm going to try to give you a better idea of what we're looking at in size, and I'm going to point out some craters with dimensions in a minute. Hang with me. Put it on pause for just a second. It's another all-nighter for Bill. Almost 1 o'clock early Saturday morning. Hang with me, guys. Okay, guys and gals, continuing our geography lesson and our space history lesson. This is an interesting one tonight. Y'all remember many times I hone in on these Mars that are on the left. It's got the brownish and the greenish and whatever. I'm colorblind, so I'm not sure. On the right, it's the blue. Well, exactly centered on my screen is a crater called Fabbroni crater. And Fabbroni crater is 6.2 miles wide. Let me zoom in on it. It's still, move it over just a dab, centered. Fabbroni crater. So you can see the atmospherics are getting a dab bit better. Fabbroni crater. Okay. 6.2 miles wide. Now that means that, see those little craters below Febbroni? Those are probably a mile wide. That'll give you an idea how close we are, okay? Now, to the immediate left of that crater, it's hard for me to keep it centered, on the edge of the screen, let me raise it up a bit, just a dab, so I get it kind of centered. I'll keep Febbroni centered, okay? To the immediate left of Febbroni, at the edge of the screen, you'll see another crater, okay? The wind's blowing a little bit there. Another crater. It's a shallow crater. That is the landing site right at the 9 o'clock position. That is the landing site of the Apollo 17. And Apollo 17 was the final manned expedition to the moon. It landed on the moon December 11th, 1972. Let me, I'm going to move Febbroni to the right. I'm going to try to center the landing site exactly. See, you're learning a lot. They ought to teach this in class. Astronomy class, pretty much centered. The Apollo, in that crater that's centered, the Apollo 17 landing site. Okay, now let me back out a little bit so you again get a feel for where we are. It's that's the neat thing about this zoom. I can kind of show and tell. I can do things like this, which otherwise I wouldn't be able to do. Let's see if I back out there. And it's still about centered. That is the Apollo 17 landing site. Now, take one more round. I'm going to show you where Luna 21, it's so close. Luna 21 was the second robotic lunar rover deployed by Russia, Soviet Union, on January 15th, 1973. And this occurred a month after the Apollo 17. And if you look to the immediate left of the screen, pretty much, let me center it on the edge. Pretty much in that crater, in that shallow crater, that large shallow crater, that's where the Luna 21 landed. Now let me center it for you. See, you got to put on your smart hat. You're getting so smart just watching Bill's videos. I personally find this fascinating. I think that this is what astronomy is all about. I can do a live shot of the moon and show you. See that crater centered? In that crater, in that centered crater right now on the screen, at the kind of 3 o'clock position in that crater is where Luna 21 landed. Now, isn't this fascinating stuff, guys? Okay, I'm going to put it on pause again. I found that sometimes when I put it on pause, I can give you a better a better feel for what we're looking at. So I'm going to put it on pause, and we'll pick it up here in just a second. Okay, guys, I think I've decided what I'm going to do now is just kind of give you a tour of the moon circumference tour. We're going to kind of explore it together. It's been a while since I did a survey like that. I tell you, it's been tough for me because I love to get out and do the moon. Yeah. And let me again say, some nights are better than other nights, but you know, you take it as it comes. Now this crater centered on the screen pretty much is called Tycho, and you see it just about every night when you look at the moon because it's so bright. Um, and when I look at it with my telescope, with the software and everything I have, I mean, it just overpowers everything else. Well, if you look to the immediate right of Tycho, you see Clavis. And Clavis is one of our favorite craters. Remember that one crater that looks like it's got a bunch of craters in the middle of it. And you see it on, you know, different times. That's Clavis. By the way, I have a friend, Dave, in Manchester, England, who I've been communicating with on Skype, and he's taught me quite a bit. He had an Orion. We're going to just kind of work our way up here and see what we can see. Look at all. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Matter of fact, let's zoom in a little bit. Dave has been doing astronomy for quite a while, and he has a telescope fairly similar to mine. He has the same body. He has a wedge. Look at all those little craters. Aren't they neat? Matter of fact, let's zoom in as close as we can and see how close we can get. That's about it. You can see when we go in real close, we're still seeing that the atmospheric distortion. So I'll back out a little bit just so it looks good. Dave had some videos. He's been doing the moon lately, and he used a neat thing that I never knew about. It's a heater for his telescope. Let me turn up the brightness so we can kind of, well, turn up the exposure. Yeah, just on the edge. He had a heater plugged in because it's so cold over there. A heater made by Orion, and I eventually went on Amazon and found a heater with a controller, and by Thousand Oaks, and I got one for my telescope. I got a heater for my telescope body, and you kind of wrap it around the end, and you plug it into this controller, and then I have one that you plug in into the controller and wrap it around your lens, and it keeps the temperature a little higher and prevents the dew from coming on there. I know Henning's been fighting the dew like I've been fighting the dew. I got a dew shield, but with this thing here, it should really be nice. Now look at that. What in the hell is that? I've got it pretty much centered. I have no idea what it is. It looks kind of strange. And you know old Bill, he's looking for strange things. It looks like well, I don't know what it is. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what we can see. Oops. It looks you can see the craters there, but The you get push the button. I see something and I push the button the wrong way because I get excited. See, I'm looking at that crater at the kind of 10 o'clock position. It has those, looks like a pipe organ crater. You know how we've seen those things kind of at the edge of these craters and they look like jagged pipes? That's what that looks like. The wind must be blowing out there. I'm inside, by the way. It's cold outside. I'm cozy warming inside my house. It's kind of nice being able to control your telescope from within. Matter of fact, I was talking to Dave about that, and he finally set himself up with a remote, so he can now control his telescope from inside the house too. That's the only way to run the show in the winter. I was looking at the weather, and the weather doesn't look very good. Let me turn up the brightness and see if we can see along the edge there. And some nights it's clearer than other nights, and you're going to see more. Just like that last video I did. That was one of the best videos I've ever done. I mean, the weather was perfect. The atmospherics were calm, and it was clear, and you could really tell. Now, this is very interesting to me. This particular crater looks very unusual. Just a typical crater, but to me, see how it's a hornet nest crater. And you can see it sticking up in the air, and you can see it on kind of a mountain range. Hope you guys have been doing well. We've really had some weather, and I wonder why it's so jumpy. Must be the wind. Okay, let me turn the exposure down. There you go. The moon's higher in the sky, so it takes a little effort sometimes to get this thing to move. And as usual, on the bottom side of the moon, it's not going to be as in focus. Matter of fact, let's back it out. And let's head over to Crystal Lake. I haven't looked at that for quite a while, even though it's going to be on the bottom side of the moon. Look at those lights. Matter of fact, let's just sit on that for just a second and see what I can do with it. Let me turn the color up a little bit, and the brightness up, and the contrast up, so I get it too far up. turn autofocus on. See all those, you see that large crater on the left, upper left. See the winds blowing. See those points of light though? Just seems, they just kind of jump out at you. Okay. And there's Crystal Lake right there at the bottom. See, it's not going to be very good, but let's look at it anyhow. Turn the brightness down. Right there, see Crystal Lake? You can see that crater with a ramp on the left. And let's just zoom in and turn auto on. It's not responding very well. Okay, let me zoom in now. And try to focus it a little bit better. I'm convinced that there's alien activity right there in that area. I think this is going to be the last. Let me back out and head back up to where we started. I think this is going to be the last shot at the moon here for me in our area for a week or so. I'm very disappointed because of the weather, but like Mike said, we do need the rain. There's no doubt about it. And I don't want to make this any longer than is necessary. Let me turn the color down. And we'll finish up where we started, kind of at that mar there, where we got the line of demarcation in the middle. It's just a beautiful, beautiful kind of a moonscape. Okay, guys. Hope everything's going your way, and I wish for you and yours clear skies, guys.